So I got a little revelation last night while I was reading Genesis 12, so let's talk about it. So this is Genesis chapter 12, and I'm specifically referring to verses 10 through 20 around that area. Abram and Sarai, which we know is really Abraham and Sarah, so before the name change, Abram and Sarai are escaping where they're from because there's a famine going on, so they're going to Egypt. But Abram tells Sarah, like, look, you're too beautiful. If they find out that you're my wife, like, they're going to kill me so that they can have you. So you have to tell them that you're my sister. So they agree on this plan, right? They get there, they go along with the plan, and the Pharaoh was like, yeah, I want her. So because Pharaoh thinks that Sarai is Abram's sister, Pharaoh goes ahead and takes Sarai to the palace or wherever he lives, and they decide to treat Abram right because he's the brother. And what does it say? They gave him flocks and herds, male and female donkeys, male and female slaves, camels, all the good stuff, right? But we know that God had a promise for Abram and Sarai. We know that they're on a mission right now. And what they're doing right now is outside of God's will for their lives. So here's the revelation that God gave me. When you obtain things outside of God's will for you, those things aren't going to last, baby. Like, it is going to be temporary. Those things are not going to last the way that the things that you're going to get in God's will would last. Because when you keep on reading, you see that eventually God was like, oh no, like, this is not what I had promised for you. This is not what is about to happen. God said he was going to send, well, God didn't say, he did. He sent the plague to Pharaoh and through his home, and they came to the realization it was because of Sarai. Whole jig is up, and the Pharaoh finds out that Abram is really Sarai's husband, and they make them leave. So Abram lost all of these things he had, the flocks, the herds, the donkeys, the slaves, camels, all the things. He lost all that stuff. And God, at that point, because of them stepping out of God's promise, God stepped in and was like, no, I'm dedicated to this promise that I gave you. You need to be dedicated to the promise that I gave you. And I'm going to shake things up a little bit to make it happen. So just remember that when you step outside of God's will to try to do your own thing, you might get good stuff. You might get the flocks, the herds, the donkeys, the camels. You might get the good stuff. You might get the money, the man, the job, whatever you're asking for. But if that's not God's will for you, baby, it's not going to last.